Where did we stop? In the last class, we were going through that struts framework, and we know how to work with the struts framework. And we saw that XML configurations, so they were all based on XML configurations. So today we'll do one thing. I'll show you people how to configure the or how to use annotations in place of XML. So far, always we're working with XML. Now let's see how to use annotations in place of XML. Okay, yes. So generally, so far we have developed action components and all, and we have configured that action components in the struts XML file. We have used this struts XML file, right? You see in the struts XML file, we have this action components configurations and all. Yes. Now what we can do is we can completely avoid this XML file. Instead of using this XML file, we can configure the action components through annotations. Okay, so I have a project. I'll just copy that project. Okay, so everything will be same almost. There are few things which may change here. Let's see what is it. So let me import the project first of all. Okay, you see this is the project which is based on Struts framework. Yes. So just a minute. Let me. So now we are going to see uh, a Struts application without XML, but that means without that Struts XML file. So far we have used a Struts XML file to configure the action class details and all, right? Yes. So now I'm going to show you people an action class which is configured here without using XML with annotations. It is configured using annotations. Okay. Now you can check this action class. Here, can you people tell me, is there any difference between this action class which you're looking at here and the action class which we saw earlier? So what is the difference of you people have noticed here? Can you people tell me? Yes, this action class which you got here, basically it doesn't extend the predefined action class called as struts, sorry, struts action class called as action support, right? It's not extending the action support class. Yes. So we can just avoid that here. One difference which we'll see here. Okay, but you'll find that we are using this execute method, okay, which is similar again, which is same. We're using the execute method here. Yes. You know, this action class is configured using the annotation action. So we use that annotation action for this purpose. Yes. Okay. And here, you know, what is this value? So that value attribute is used to configure the URL of that subnet. The action attribute is used to configure the URL of this action class. I'm sorry. To configure the URL of the action class, we use that value attribute. Then next you see the results. See how we are configuring the results here. So to configure the results, we are using that results attribute and the annotation at the rate result name success. So that means if this action class execute method, if it returns success, then this JSP has to be invoked. This way we'll configure the result here. Yes, just a single line will help you people in this regard. Okay. Yes. So usually we used to configure all these details, the action class details, its URL, the result and all in the struts XML file. But in this case, so we're using the annotations for this. And namespace is here, which indicates that it's a default namespace. Okay. Namespace slash, it indicates that it's a default namespace here. Okay. Yes. The main namespace. Yep. Next, on top here, you see this annotation. That annotation interceptor reference, it is actually used to configure Okay, uh, just a minute. Okay, now is it clear? No? Still you have the same issue? Okay, so that interceptor reference annotation, so basically it is used to configure the interceptor for this particular action component. So the interceptors here, what interceptors you want to configure for this action component, you'll specify the details here. That is how it works. Yeah. Okay. For suppose, let's say you want this action component to be part of a particular module. If you want to configure it for a particular module, then what you're going to do? So if you want to configure it for a particular module, then in that case, you'll configure that module details here, module name here. That's it. For example, customers. That's it. So we don't have any separate configuration files here, right? Yes. That namespace attribute itself is used to specify the module details here. Yeah. That is what you'll be doing. Okay. Yes. So, and one important thing, all of you, please, you have to make a note of this. When you're using annotations, especially, always make sure that the action classes, you add them to a package whose name is actions. The package name should be actions here. Yes. Okay. Okay. So make sure that always the action classes are configured in the package whose name is actions. Always they should be the package whose name is actions here. Okay. Okay. Yes. So, and you see the rest of the things will be same here. But if you want, you can actually, this is not mandatory, but Yes, you can do this. Explicitly configure the package details in which you got that action classes. In which package you got the action classes? In which package you have this action classes? You can configure that package details this way. Okay. Yeah. So the parameter name should be action packages and provide that package name in which you got this action classes. Yeah. You need to provide the package name in which you got the action classes. Okay. So this is the annotated version of your struts based application. So not many changes are there. The only thing is here. So the XML stuff will change. The way you configure this action classes will be different here. Okay. Yeah. So with this, let's move on to one more small topic here in Struts framework. That is model driven approach. What is this model driven approach? Let's see. Let's consider that register page which you have developed earlier. Um, just a second. Okay. Yeah. So we got this register page, right? So whenever this register page is submitted, you see this form data in this register page. You got this register form. The form data is populated into the action class fields. In the action class, we got the fields, and into this fields, the form data is populated. Now, but what if I want this form data to be populated into a separate object instead of populating that form data here into this action class fields. I want to create a separate object for this. Okay. So let's see how to do that. So first of all, we'll comment these fields. Okay, let's comment these fields. Okay, that means now that form data will not be populated into this action class fields. Now, to populate that form data, we'll define a separate class here. Okay, we'll call it as register class. And we'll declare the fields here: username, first name, last name, email and phone, right? Okay, username, first name, last name, email and city. Yes. Now let me add the getters and setters here. Okay, so you got the getters and setters. Yes. Now I want to use this register class object to populate the form data. Okay, what I want to do here, I want to use register class object to populate the form data. Yes. Now that means actually we don't populate the data into that object, right? The framework will take care of it. So we have to provide the details to the framework. Yes. So how will you provide the details about this register class to the framework so that it uses this register class object to populate the form data? Okay. Yes. So now you go to that action class here and you have to make this class implements model driven interface. We got an interface called as model driven. We have to make that action class implements that model driven interface. In the brackets you have to specify the type. Yes. Okay. Now in this interface we have a method which we need to override, get model. So through this method itself I can say that we'll supply that register object to the framework so that it uses it to populate this form data. Okay, yes. So I'll create that register object here. We'll return that register object reference. Okay, yes. Sorry. So this way you'll supply that object details which has to be used by the framework to populate the form data. How the framework will understand that we are supplying this register object, the framework has to use this register object. I'll explain it. Framework, whenever it finds that this action class implements this model driven interface, whenever the framework finds that the action class here, it implements this model driven interface. Okay, it understands that it understands that so the form data has to be populated into a different object, not into this action class fields. Now the framework, what it does is here, it will call this get model method, which we are overriding here. Okay, yes, yes. So it will call, the framework itself will call this get model method. So you see, you'll find that whatever the object, this get model method returns, whatever the object this get model method returns, that object will be used to populate the form data here. That object itself will be used to populate the form data, I can say. Okay. Yes. So hope you people got it. Yes. Okay. Now the framework will use that register object to populate that form data. Fine. So let's see whether really the framework uses that register object or not. Okay, to populate the form data. So we have that object reference, right? So I'll try to call that methods. That's it. Okay. Yes. Sorry. So let's see whether we'll be able to read that form data or not. That means whether the framework is using that register object to populate the form data or not. Okay, so I'm trying to read that data from this register object itself, right? Yeah, let's see. Register.jsp. Sorry, it is in customers folder. Okay, you see, you got the data that city is null because city actually I didn't consider city field here. Okay, I've added that variable over there, but we don't have a text field for that city. Okay, yeah, it works. Okay, yeah. So, but why do we need to do this? Why we need to store that form data into a separate object here? So, what do you people think? Yes, earlier the data was in this action class fields, which was difficult to pass on to other components. Now, because the data is in a separate object now, we can easily transfer this object or transmit the data which is in this object to the other components here. Okay, so we can do that. Yes. Okay. Yeah. That is the advantage of using this approach, model driven approach. We say it is model driven approach. You see that register object, we call it as a model object here. It is known as a model object now. So which is, what is the main aim of this register object, register class object? To populate that data. It is used to populate that form data here. Okay, yes. So this is about your model driven approach. That's it. Let's move on. So now we have gone through the struts framework. Okay, fine. With this, I'll close this framework and then we'll move on to our next topic. Actually, we have few leftover things in JSPs which I need to talk about. So today I'll talk about it. Okay, yeah. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Okay. So this part of the session, now we'll start with JSF. JSPs, I'm sorry. So far, we have gone through JSP elements like we saw scriptlets, we saw declarations, and we saw that expressions. Today we'll see directives. Yeah, tell me, Sadbir.
So I have a question, like in a real time, whether the annotation or XML, which one is used or give priorities in
You
real time
know,
projects?
again, there is no standard answer for this question, to be frank. No, it's all based on the choice. That's it. So you'll find that people will be using XML and annotations. There are few companies, whose projects they are based on annotations and they are based on XML also. It doesn't mean that XML is something not real time and annotations not real time. There is nothing like that. Okay, so that we have to use the annotations in real time or XML in real time. Okay, it has become a more of a kind of choice now. So, and you will find that people are going with I can say that there are people who argue that XML is better, and there are people who argue that annotations are better. Yes. Why? Because I'll tell you. One advantage of using XML is that you have all the configurations at one place in a single configuration file. So easy to edit, easy to configure. That is what happens with XML. Am I right? So they are not that configurations related to the action classes are not scattered. They're not scrambled. So you'll find them all in one place in an XML file. But you see, on the other side, when you talk about annotations, you will find that the configurations are in each and every class, separate class here. So which are scattered. Okay, so which would be a little difficult to manage. If you have to make any changes to the configurations, you have to go to each and every action class and make the changes. Now, unlike your XML where everything is at one place. Okay, so but this is one advantage of using XML. Now, on the other side, you see, if you use annotations, I can say that annotations are easy to configure, unlike XML, which is difficult to write. Okay, they're very simple and straightforward. We don't need any additional XML files and all, so no need of additional loading and all, right? Along with XML, again, you'll have XML schemas or DTTs which are needed. Yes. So that is advantage of using annotations where we don't need all this stuff, no additional files, simple, easy to configure. That is one of the advantages. So this way, people are biased. It depends. You'll find that few people will be using annotations, and few go for XML. Okay. Yes. Hope you got it. Okay. So each approach has got its own advantages and disadvantages. Yes. Okay. So, but in recent years, you'll find that there is, of course, a surge or increase of usage of annotations compared to XML. Yes. Okay. Now let's talk about directives. So JSP directives. I guess for few people it is already completed, but still you can bear. If you want, you can just listen to this topic. For other batch, I didn't. I'm left over with just JSP's part, which I need to discuss. Okay. Yeah. This is the first framework starts which I've started with this batch. Okay. And for you people, Sadbir and Bhagya, I guess already you people are done with this. But still, if you want, you can just listen. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Fine. So let's start. So directives, you will find that these are the instructions I can say which are executed or translation time instructions I can say. Okay, these are all translation time instructions. Yes. The directives you will find that we have three types. Okay, I said directives are basically instructions which are executed during the translation phase. So we say they are uh, translation phase instructions, the instructions which are executed. So directives you will find that there are three types: include, page, and taglet. Yes. Okay, now we'll start with include first of all. Okay, let's see this include directive. Let's see. Include directive, it is actually used to include the content of one page into another page. Okay, so if you want to include the content of one page into another page, then you'll use include directive. Okay, yeah. Just a second, please. Let me switch the workspace. Now, for suppose here, let's say I got this login page. For suppose now I can include the content of this login page into this sample JSP page. Okay, let's see how to do that. So I'll delete all this content now. This is just a blank JSP. So let me do that. Yeah, just a minute, please. I'm sorry. Just a minute. Yeah, sorry. So now, as I told you people, you know, this instruction which you got here, it is actually the instruction which executes during the translation phase. This instruction, it executes during the translation phase here. Okay, so Now this directive, it instructs your tool, your server, to include the content of that HTML page into this servlet, which is generated for sample JSP. For sample JSP, servlet is generated, right? For the sample JSP, a servlet is generated. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you see, in that servlet, this HTML content will be added. Yes. In that servlet, the HTML content will be added. Yes. So I'll run this code once, and I'll show you that servlet which is generated for this particular sample JSP. And in that servlet, generated servlet for the sample JSP, you'll find that HTML code. Let's see. Just a second, please. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. So now first I'll execute that JSP. You see now, I'll call that sample JSP page. Let's see what happens. Okay, now you will find that when we execute this JSP, you got that content of that HTML page here. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. So now I'll show you people the servlet which is generated. You see, now this is the generated servlet for that sample JSP class. Okay. So I will add that HTML, sorry, that HTML page content. It is added here. Not, I didn't add it. Yes, you will find that. So the tool which generates the servlet will read that HTML page content, login HTML page content. It adds it here. You see, in the service method, it is wrapped in. out.write statements here. Yes. Okay. So this way we can include the content of one page into another page. Now you see into the sample JSP, so let that page content is added. So what is the advantage? What is the advantage of using this tag now? Why we need to include the content of one page into another page? How this can be useful for us? What do you people think? What is the advantage? Yes, you will find that yes, you actually it is the main advantage is reusability. The main advantage is reusability. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you will find that yes, when we are developing web pages, you see JSPs are used to develop web pages, right? So when we talk about development of web page, so you'll find that you'll have some common content. You'll have common content. Okay. Yeah. So especially see the layouts or you will find that some other data you'll find that it is commonly shared across mul multiple pages. Okay, the styles and all will be same, right? And with regard to Java code also, like import statements and all will be common. So that common code which you need across multiple JSPs, you see you can add it to one JSP page and you can include it in all the JSPs. Okay, reusability basically. That common code we can just make sure that you add it to one page and include it in all the JSP pages. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Hope you people got it. Fine. Next, we got another attribute here. Sorry, another directive called as page. Let's see this page. And one more important thing, this include which you got here, it is called as a static include. Why it is called a static include? Because you see, this include when it executes during the translation phase. That means well before that servlet is generated and it executes. You see, during the generation of that servlet itself, that include executes, not while the JSP is executing, right? Not when the JS generated servlet is executing. So not during the execution time. So that's the reason why we call it as a static include. Yes. Next, you got a page director. Yes. So why do we use this page directive? Can you people tell me? Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll tell you people, don't worry. So I can say that already we have started using page directive. Okay. I can say that we have already started using page directive here. Let's see. For example, here you see the first line. This is the page directive itself. So what we are doing, page in page directive, you'll find that you got lot of attributes. Okay, we got lot of attributes, And one such attribute is import attribute, which is used to import a class. It is actually used to import a class here. Okay. Yes. Yeah. You see, this is how you import a class in JSP page. Use this import attribute to import a class. Okay. If you want to import more than one class, just add a comma, and you can just add list of classes which you want to import. That's it. Next, in page attribute, you'll find other, sorry, in page directive, you'll find other attributes also. Like you see, we got language attribute. You see language attribute, what is it? Java. What does that means? It indicates that the scripting language which we're using here is Java in this JSP page. Scripting language. You see, you're using a server-side scripting language, I can say. Yes, that is Java here. Yes, that is what we are trying to do. Yes. So actually, why do we need to specify this language details? That means, can we use other languages also in the JSP as a scripting language? I can say no. Generally, a scripting language means the language code which can be embedded in another language code. Okay. As of now, you see, we are embedding the Java code into HTML page. You're embedding Java code into HTML page. Okay. Sorry. We'll embed Java code into HTML page. Yes. Similarly, you see, even JavaScript is called as a scripting language because JavaScript code we embed into HTML again. So the language code which can be embedded into another language code is called as a scripting language. But you know what? Only Java can be embedded here. Yes, fine. Means programming languages I'm talking about, especially the server-side programming languages which we can embed in here in JSP page. Next we got content type. So what is this content type? Content type, you'll find that it is used to specify what type of response, what type of response the JSP is rendering here. What type of response the JSP renders. Yes. What type of response the JSP renders here. So it is text HTML. That is what it is specified. That means this JSP renders text or HTML content here. That is the response type. That is what the content type means here. Okay. Yes. That is also one of the page attribute. Now we got another attribute called as page encoding, but I will leave it to you people. Okay. You can check that. Yes. Page encoding. You can just check that. Yes. Okay. Yes. Next, we got other attributes also, very useful attributes. Now I'm going to talk about it. What is it? For suppose, let's say, if there is an exception in the JSP page, then what happens exactly? Okay, I'll show you people. We'll try to intentionally raise an exception. Yes, you see, the supplier object, we are trying to read it from the page scope, right? But do we have the supplier object in the page scope? As far as we are concerned here in this page itself, that object should be added to page scope. You will not find the supplier object in the page scope. Okay, if you are trying to read that object, basically you'll get null reference. That supplier reference variable will be null now. Using the null reference, we are trying to call this methods. So that means you'll get null pointer exception here. You're going to definitely get null pointer exception. So let's see. Okay, yes. So I'll run this code. Test.jsp. You see, so that means when there is an exception in the JSP page, this is how it looks like. Okay, now we Java developers, yes, we may understand, you may understand that okay, there is an error in the page, but for end users who are not Java developers like us, end users who are not Java developers like us, for them it would be difficult to understand. You know, this is all kind of Greek and Latin for them. They don't know what exactly is happening. Okay, yes. So, you know, it is better to display an appropriate message to the end users when there is an exception in the page. It is better to display an appropriate exception message here. Okay, yes. So how can we do that? Yes. How can we do that? To handle an exception, we can create a separate page. Okay, whenever there is an exception in this page, and if you want to handle that exception, what you can do is you can create a separate page, okay, to handle that exception. I can say we can create a separate page to handle the exception. Yes. So you see, I'll create another JSP page. Say I'll call it as handle error page. You can give any name to this JSP page you wish. So what I will do is I'll just display a simple message so that users can understand that there is a problem in the page. Sorry. Something like this. Okay. Yes. So whenever there is an exception in the test JSP, I want this page to be invoked and display this message. Okay. Yeah. What to do? It's pretty simple. Again, for that we got a page attribute actually. We got a page attribute. Page uh, error page equal to handle error page dot JSP. Handle error page dot JSP. That's it. Okay. Yeah. So what it indicates now, this line it indicates that if there is an error in this page, then you see the handle error JSP page should be invoked. The handle error JSP page should be invoked here. Yes. Okay, so let's see. I'll try to run this code. This time we will call test page. You see, when I call test page, what happens? That handle error page is invoked, which prints this message. So to handle the exceptions, we can create a separate page. And whenever there is an exception, you see, we can simply hand over the task of handling that exception to the delegate the task of handling the exception to another page here. So the error page attribute of the page directive is used to specify which page should be invoked if there is any exception in this page. So that handle error page, when it is invoked, only when there is an exception in the test JSP. Only if there is an exception in the test JSP, that handle error page will be invoked. Okay. Yes. Okay. Fine. Next, what if I want that exception object details here in this error page? So in this page, we are trying to handle the exception, right? So what if I want that exception object details here? So can we get those details? Okay, I'll show you people. So if you want to access that exception details, okay, what you need to do is, first of all, you have to specify that this is a page to handle the errors. Is error page, you have to set it to true. So we have to set this attribute. Again, this is one of the page directive. So you have to set this attribute each error page to true. Okay. Yes. Yes. Each error page. Set it to true here. So now, once you do that, you'll be able to access that exception object here. I'll show you people. We'll use this expression to display that exception details. Okay. Exception is an implicit variable. You can access it this way, but you have to set this value to true. Only if you declare it as an error page, the exception variable will be available. Okay. Yes. otherwise it won't be available. Okay, let's see this time. So you will find that exception details as well. Let's run this code. Okay, and one more thing. You know what? I say this is a bug in this browser. So whenever I use this, uh, I declare this page as error page. So I'll get this error. So the browser fails to work. So you better use an external browser. The browser won't work when I set that page as error page. You see, down you got this exception details. It's a null pointer exception which was raised in that page. Okay, just a minute. So this is about the page directives. So these are the different types of page directives. So now you know how to handle the exceptions also using this page directive, right? Yeah. Okay. Next, we got taglib directive, but I'll talk about it later. Okay. There is one more directive. I'll talk about it later. So when I talk about JSTL, that will do it now soon. But before that, yeah, there is one more directive. I'll discuss about it in JSTL. When I introduce you people to JSTL, we'll see that. Now next, we'll move on. We got JSP actions that we need to talk about. So JSP actions syntax, this is how it looks like. JSP colon forward, sorry, not syntax, this is action name itself, sorry. JSP colon, action tag name will be there. Yes. So now let's see this JSP action tags. For suppose here, let's say you take the sample page. So what exactly we are doing here, all of you check this once. In this sample page, you see we got this scriptlet. In the scriptlet, so we are creating a supplier object. The sample page, in the sample JSP page, we are creating a supplier object. And you know what? We are adding that supplier object to the page scope. We are adding the supplier object to the page scope. But I'll do one thing. I will add it to the request scope here. Okay. Let me add it to the request scope instead of page scope. And then we'll forward this request to the another JSP. So how to forward the request to other JSP? You can use a request dispatcher forward method or page context forward method also you can use it, right? This is one way. You can use page context dot forward method to forward the request to another JSP. You see, I'll do this. Page context dot forward to test JSP. I'll forward the request. So in the test JSP, you try to read that object here from the request scope. Okay, you see, we are trying to read that object from the request scope. Okay, and then we are displaying the details here. So let's run this code. So first we'll call sample page, sample JSP page, which will create a supplier object. It adds it to the request scope and then forwards the request to test page. Test page will read that object from the request scope and it will display that details here. Okay. So but there is nothing I'm talking about the JSP action tag here. I'll tell you people just a second. Let me call sample page. You see, we are trying to access the sample page. In turn, the test page is invoked, which is displaying the details here. Okay, so now let's move on. Actually, here I wanted to show you people the JSP action tag. Now we are forwarding the request using this page context dot forward, or we use request dispatcher dot forward, right? Yes, page context dot forward or request dispatcher dot forward here. Now what we'll do is we'll use JSP action tag here for this purpose. We have a tag called as forward test.jsp. I'm sorry. Okay, so using this tag JSP forward action tag, we are calling the test page here. Yes, so you'll get the same result. You see, but what is the difference? We are not using that Java code here. Yes, we are not using the Java code. Yes. Okay, so it's a simple tag here. It looks like an HTML tag, right? Yes, it looks like an HTML tag. That is what I can say. Fine. Now you see there is one more option here. There is one more action tag. So now we saw that forward action tag, right? So that is one of the action tags which is used to forward the request to another JSP. So this forward action tag, it is same as request dispatcher dot forward, I can say. It is same as request dispatcher dot forward. Yes. Okay. Next, we got JSP use pin tag. Let's see. Use pin. JSP use pin tag. So why do we use that use pin tag? Let's see. Now you see the sample JSP, it is sharing the supplier object here with the test JSP, right? It is sharing the supplier object with the test JSP, right? So the test JSP is reading that supplier object from the request scope. This is how you do that. But now I'm going to show you people another option which you got here. So I'll be using JSP action tag for that purpose. That is where we use that use bin tag. Use bin, specify that object name supplier. You want to read this object supplier. So it is what type. You need to specify the class details. It is supplier class type. It is in com.vo package. And it is in which scope? Specify that scope details as well. So request scope. That's it. Okay. Yes. So now this statement is exactly same as this statement, I can say. Okay. So that statement is same as this statement here. Yes. Okay. So what we are doing using the use bin tag, I'm reading an object with the name supplier from the request scope, and it is what type? Supplier type here. That's it. And after that, so you can use that reference again to read the data which is in that object. Yes. So let me run this code once. You see, you'll get the same result. Okay, so this is how we can use bin tag. So any questions in this regard? Okay, now use bin tag can be used for another purpose also. So first usage, we can read that object from the request scope, but we got another functionality also for use bin. I'll show you people. So let's see the Java code which is generated for that use bin tag. Okay, so let's see the Java code which is generated for that use bin tag. In the generated servlet you will find that. Okay, let's see. I'm showing you people this Java code. I'll copy this. You see, this is a Java code, so which is actually generated for that particular use bin tag. Yes. Now, by looking at this Java code, I want you people to tell me or explain this code. Yes. Can you people explain this code?
It's actually the base context which fetch the supplier object from request scope. And if the supplier is null, then we create a new supplier object and then set in a page context.
Yes. So you see that use bin tag. This is how it is. That for that use bin tag, this is the Java code which is generated. First of all, you say supply reference variable is declared, and in the second statement, so to try to fetch that object from the request scope, it will try to fetch the object from the request scope here. And you see the get attribute method, if it finds that object in the request scope, it returns that object reference, which will be stored in this variable, supplier variable. And what if that object is not found? What if that object is not found? Yes. Okay. Yes. So if it is not found, then it returns null. If it is null, then what we are doing here, that means if that supplier object is not found in the request scope, if the supplier object is not found in the request scope, then you see we are checking if it is null. If that supply reference is null, that means the object is not found in the request scope. Yes. Okay. So in that case, a new object is created. You see the use bin tag, what it does, it creates a new object and it adds it to that request scope. So if the object is found, well and good, it will read it from the request scope. And what if the object is not found? It will be added. A new object is created, and it will be added to the request scope here. Yes, this is the functionality usually for that use bin tag. Okay. Yes. So how this can be useful? Why the object should be created if the object is not found in that scope? Yes. Why the object should be created if the object is not found? That means actually use bin tag can be used in either ways, in both the ways. You can use bin tag to create an object and add it to the scope. You can use bin tag to also fetch the object from the specified scope. Okay, use bin tag, we can use it to create an object and add it to to a specified scope, or it is also used to fetch an object from the specified scope here. It is also used to fetch an object from the specified scope. Yes. Yeah. But what if I don't want the use bin tag to create an object if that object is not found in the specified scope? What if I don't want the use bin tag to create a new object if that object is not found in the specified scope? Yes. You see, in that case, use type attribute in place of class. You see, as of now, we are using class attribute. Change it to type attribute here. Type attribute. Yes. Okay. What happens if I use type attribute? This time, if it fails to find an object, in that case, it throws an exception. If it fails to find an object, in that case, it throws an object. Sorry, it throws an exception. Let's see. That means as of now, we have that object. It won't throw any exception. But you see that generated code will change. I'll show you people. Let's copy this code this time. From that servlet, I'll copy that code which is generated for that use bin tag. Yes. You see, first it will try to fetch the object from the scope. So you see, if it is null, if that supply reference is null, when the supply reference will be null, if that object is not found, if that object is not found in the specified scope, okay, it will be null, right? And if it is null, then it throws an exception. Bean supplier not found within scope. Yes. Okay. Bean supplier not found within the scope here. Yes. So any questions? Hope you people got it right. Okay, good. Fine. So you know what? As I told you people, so we can use that use bean tag to create an object as well, right? So let's use it that way also. You see, as of now, we are creating the supplier object here by writing the Java code, right? And then we are adding it to the request code. Now these two lines of code, now we can just avoid it and use that use bean tag here for that purpose. Use bean ID supplier, say class, use class attribute if you want to create a new object. Okay, and specify the scope details. Let's say I want to add it to the request scope. Okay, yes. Now the object will be created. It will be added to the request scope. But something is missing here. What is it? Initializing that object. That part is missing. Initializing the object part is missing here. So how to initialize the object then? What to do? You know, here, if you want to initialize that object, then use another action tag called a set property. Specify the property name, which property you want to initialize, and the object name supplier, and what value you want to assign. Let's say 101. And similarly, you can do the set property. Another property is name. The object name is supplier. What value you want to assign, you wish. This only. This way, using the set property tags, you see we can initialize set properties or variables which are part of that object here without writing the Java code. You see, first we are creating the object and then we are initializing that object's properties using the set property tags. These are all use these are all JSP action tags. Okay, these are all JSP action tags actually. Yes. Yes. Fine. Now you see the other JSP. So after initializing this object, you're forwarding the request to the test JSP, the other JSP. The other JSP is reading that object from the scope, and you see we have another JSP action tag to read the property values also. We can do this. Get property. Property name is ID. Name of the object is supplier. You can use this get property method to read that object's property values. Name. Okay. So let's run this code. Okay. You see it works the same way. Now what we did, so we have completely avoided writing the Java code. Now this JSP is free of any Java code. Okay. Yes. Okay. So you see now this JSP, it looks lot simple, right? Without any Java code. See the all these tags here, they look like HTML tags, easy to use. And it is recommended that you avoid writing the Java code in the JSPs. Okay, you avoid writing the Java code in the JSPs so that we can make this JSP pages lot easier to work with. Even non-Java developers will be able to work with this JSP pages using these tags, right? Which look similar to your HTML tags. Yes. So now this way, you see, we have come to a stage now where we can avoid writing the Java code, but still create Java objects, populate them with data. We can add them to the request scope and read the data from the Java objects. We're able to do all this stuff here. Yes. So use bean, set property, forward. These are all the action tags. So which will help us to avoid writing the Java code. Okay. Yes. So this is all the tags. Get property. So is it clear for you people? Any questions in this regard? Okay, good. So we are left over with JSTL now, an expression language. But I will talk about it in the next session. But one important notice here. This weekend we got special classes for thread programming. If you want, anyone can attend this class, okay? Thread programming. If you want, you can attend this now or you can take it later also. But sooner the better. So thread programming, multi-threading and all. So schedule for this thread programming class is this Saturday at the rate 8 p.m. There is one class central time. So it is for 2 hours. Okay. And another class will be there on Sunday at the rate 8 a.m. central time. This is also thread programming class. It will be 3 to 4 hours in between. So till I complete that thread programming part. Okay. Again, we got, okay, this is about JS thread programming class. Um, there is one special class for JSP class on Sunday evening. Okay, so at your convenience, you can try to attend these classes. So on Sunday evening, I will schedule the class at 8 p.m. Central Time. So this will be the last class of JSPs. Okay. After that, on Monday, I will introduce you people to Hibernate framework. So this will be the last class. Will be for 2 hours. Okay. So this is how the weekend schedule works. Yeah. Please make a note of it, all of you. So JSP class, we'll be talking about JSTL and expression language. With that, I'll close it. From Monday onwards, freshly, I'm starting with Hibernate framework. Okay. Yes. So weekdays, I'll give you a break one day. On most probably on Wednesday or Thursday. Thursday, most probably on Thursday, you may get a break. Yeah. Fine. Okay. So I will, this meeting link for the thread programming will be different. So I'll mail you people now. Just give me half hour. In half hour, I'll mail you people. Meeting link for JSP class is not going to change. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So I'll mail you people anyways again the schedule. Yeah. Please make a note of it. Okay then. Thank you all. Bye bye.